So now that we can clearly see that the soul of man is that garden that God created, we can now look at something else that God did. In Genesis 1, God created man and woman both on the sixth day. Whereas in Genesis 2, we read of the man Adam that God made or formed instead of create. The word there for formed is yatsar, which always takes time. The root word there is to sort of form like a lump of clay. But in Genesis 1, it was the word bara, which means to uh, create instantaneously. God spoke a word and it was created. But in Genesis 2, we find out something different. We see that there is a wife being sought for Adam, a helpmeet, as the King James Version puts it, but none is found. And then God lets a sleep fall over the man Adam and he creates, or he makes a wife for him. But then that word is a new word. It's not the word yatsar for formed, it's also not the word bara for created. In fact, it's a new word, and that word is bana. Now, bana, the root word of it is something like it was created but not finished, or it was created to be finished later. So Eve was still in process of creation, of being formed. She was never completed the day that she was created. It's a new word, it's a new experience. So why is that important? Well, just like Adam, Jesus came to earth looking for a bride. In fact, the Bible says that Jesus is the last Adam. Now, if Jesus was the last Adam, could we say that Adam was the first Jesus? Well, they both had the same spirit. They walked with God in spirit, and God indwelt them. So perhaps we could say that. Another way to look at it is this spirit that was within the man Adam. God took of that spirit and he created Eve. In fact, when Adam woke up, he says, "This is now flesh of my flesh and bone of my bone." Now, bone have always represented the spirit, where flesh represents flesh and the blood always represents the soul. So just like when Adam was put to sleep, Jesus came, or God came, and he created a bride. So the same is true in the case of Jesus. When he was crucified, he was basically put asleep, and some of his spirit, his bone, we received, and that creates a bride for him. So then Jesus is the last Adam. Could we then say the bride is the last Eve? Are we the last Eve? And if that's true, it's the same word that God used for them. It's bana, which means we are not completed. When we believe and we receive of that spirit of Jesus that indwells us, that spirit called the Word, we are not finished. We are merely starting out. There's still work to be done. Remember, Jesus is the author and the finisher of the faith. He starts a good work within us, but that good work must still be finished. We are made to continue, made to be finished at a later time. We are not completed the day that we believe. We merely receive of the Spirit of God. That Spirit called the Word. So we've got three words now. The first one is bara, which means create. Instantaneously, God speaks a word and it's there. Remember, Jesus is that word that God spoke. The Bible clearly says that He is the Word and it was there from the beginning. And nothing was created without Him and not through Him. Everything was created through Him, through the Word. The second word is yatsar, that means to be formed. And whenever you follow that word right through the Bible, it never ever speaks of something instantaneously. It always speaks of a working over a period of time, a pressing. In fact, the Bible clearly says that Jacob, God created, but Israel, He formed. Now remember, that's the same man. Jacob was the man that was born, the supplanter, as the Bible calls him. He wasn't a good guy. But then through difficult circumstances in his life and working for his uncle Laban for 20 years, God formed Israel. That's the difference. Jacob was created, bara, and Israel was formed, yatsar. But the bride is something different. The bride, the word used there is bana, and that means not finished, created with the capacity to continue, to grow, to be built.